Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Live, here we go. Good morning, Bellows Falls and Rockingham, and welcome to the feed. Here we are, another week, trying to figure out.
Himself.
Yes.
He's thinking it's Labor Day weekend coming
I
up.
thought it was Labor Day weekend. It's not Labor Day weekend. You see me scratching.
Scratch it off.
Yeah, scratch it. So don't celebrate Labor Day weekend this weekend. Wait
until actual
okay.
Labor Day weekend.
We have a good guest with us today. We have Sue Conley from the Southern Vermont AIDS program. She's going to talk about a program that she's running. But first, we're going to go with Marty for some local events, maybe.
Local events seem to be kind of slim pickings lately, or maybe I'm just not finding the right thread on Facebook. But just want to remind everybody again about the Farmers Market down at the Waypoint Center every Friday afternoon from 4 to 7 p.m. I believe it's also Wednesday afternoons. Don't quote me on this one, but I believe it's Wednesday over at Walpole, next to Hungry Diner. So you have two opportunities to go to the Greater Falls Farmers Market. And then just a recap, or kind of reiterating what we talked about last week with shopping local and going out and supporting. A lot of the local restaurants are doing takeout. They've got outdoor seating. You know, they're eking by, so maybe one takeout dinner a week from somewhere, or going if you're comfortable going somewhere, just one a week if you can fit it into your budget. It kind of will get you out of the house, and it'll help with the local economy.
Yeah, that's true. And like we said last week, pick the places you want to stay open and really support them, because it is really tough.
It is it was really tough on small business right now.
Yeah. I want to give a little shout out or plug for the census. Full disclosure, I'm working for the census, but I can't speak for the census. Okay. I'm not an official government spokesman, so I just want you to know that up front. That's
disclaimer.
That's my disclaimer.
There we go.
But it's really important to do the census. It's I saw the representatives of Windham County sent out a letter last week saying that the response rate in Windham County is 43%.
Which is really bad,
really
because it's all
low.
about funding.
It's all about money. And I was telling Marty, I read an article from North Dakota, because they're trying to get people to respond to the census. And they were saying every person that signs up for the census in North Dakota brings in $20,000 to the state.
That's crazy.
So, I can't imagine it's that amount of money for Vermont, because
still,
Vermont doesn't get the same amount of federal aid that North Dakota does,
right.
But it's got to be probably 10,000, 15,000. So if you need, if that money goes to road projects, it goes to schools, it goes to broadband internet, it goes to all these build-out projects that we need, and fill out the census. It takes like 5 minutes.
Or not, probably not
Maybe
even. Probably
10 minutes.
10 minutes online, because it's a little, but simple.
And if the census taker comes around,
be nice to them.
Be nice. That's pure self-interest right there.
Offer them a cup of coffee.
I have to tell you that the vast majority of people I talk to are incredibly nice, and I really appreciate that. So go out and do the census. But right now we need to talk to Sue. Hi, Susan Conley.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
So tell us first about yourself.
Okay.
Where are you, and what are you doing right now, and how did you get to be there?
Okay. Well, I'm at my home right now. Usually I'm working, before COVID, I worked, as a full-time in the office of the AIDS Project, which is in Brattleboro. We're located on 15 Grove Street, which is right off of the main street, across from the post office.
Uh-huh.
We're an AIDS service organization, and we serve both people who are living with HIV, and we provide case management services for people living with HIV. And we also have the prevention program, which is what I run, and that is to prevent people from getting HIV and hepatitis C. So I do HIV and hepatitis C testing. In the moment, we're not allowed to do that testing because of COVID. But our main focus for prevention for HIV, obviously is, sexually transmitted, but also we run a syringe services program. The high-risk population for people acquiring HIV is through needle sharing. And also hepatitis C can be transmitted through needle sharing. So it's a really important program to have so that people don't get HIV, because we're providing new sterile syringes. But there's a lot more involved to, we call it syringe service program now, because we provide more than just handing out needles.
Right.
It used to be needle exchange.
So I'm going to step back but your program covers all of Windham County, or does it reach as far north as Springfield or Brattleboro? Or, I mean, you're in Brattleboro, but does it come up to Bellows Falls and Springfield and out more to the west, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the state of Vermont, there are several syringe services programs. We provide services right now to Brattleboro. We also have a program in Bennington. And one of the things that I've started to do is to expand our services. And one of the areas that I'd like to expand to, and we're in the process of doing, is the Bellows Falls area.
And how does that, well, I'm sorry, don't mean to, but
No, go ahead.
do you need a place to do it? Do you need people to, do you get a sponsoring agency, or, how does,
We are the sponsoring agency. So an AIDS service organization typically runs a syringe service program, because our main focus is to prevent HIV and hepatitis C through syringe sharing. So technically, anyone in the state of Vermont we are free and anonymous, they can access our services. But what's difficult for people who inject drugs is transportation. So we're trying to meet the needs of people to go into the areas to provide those services. We are a fixed site right now, but since COVID happened, we started to provide mobile services.
Oh.
So when we expand into the Bellows Falls area, our hope or goal is to provide mobile services, because right now getting a fixed site may be difficult for us to find a place where people can come in.
Right. So when you say mobile services, you're basically talking about a person going around with a car and doing like a drop-off, like a, yeah. And I guess, and to be honest, I know very little about this. So if I ask silly questions, it's because I'm just trying to learn.
I'm glad to.
Yeah. So do they do a pickup also? Because I can imagine the sharps issue is a problem also.
So one of we've had to, during COVID, we had to kind of figure out how we were going to provide services to people. We were lucky in Brattleboro to have our own office to open. We have a back door so that people can come in. They're not actually coming into the office. But for a mobile service, we had to kind of figure out how we're going to do this. The state of Vermont gave us permission to provide mobile services. So what happens is that I have a cell phone, and we do advertisement around the community. And with my cell phone number, people will call that number and say, could you please provide services to me?
Right.
We'll figure out a place that we can meet. It is completely legal in the state of Vermont to do mobile services. And we may meet somewhere that is convenient for them, maybe in front of their home. Right now, what I've been doing with mobile services in Brattleboro is because of the homeless population. People were housed in different hotels in the area, and they couldn't access our office. So they would call the number, and then I would go to the hotel and sit in the parking lot, pump the trunk, and then they would take their,
What they needed, yeah.
supplies.
Yeah.
One of the really important things that we do, though, is we make sure that we have them bring their syringes back so that we can dispose of them properly.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to happen with mobile exchange as well.
Okay,
So
so
that's
is
a
it
very
like a,
important piece of it.
almost, is it like a exchange, like a one-on-one, I don't wanna say like a
It's not
deposit program,
One for
but,
one type?
Yeah, it's not one for one typically because we want to make sure that people are using new needles, and I just say, well, how many do you have? And I kind of know with we give sharps containers to people where they can put their used needles into, and so I can pretty much gauge how many fit into those containers. And people are very honest about it, bringing back needles, and it's really important that we get them back.
yeah. And then
Because
I
we
guess,
don't want them in the community.
my next question would be, statistically, how do you measure the effectiveness?
That was exactly what I was gonna, we're on
Go
the same
ahead, you
page.
ask it.
I was just gonna say, because people, I'm sure there's gonna be some people watching that are kind of skeptical, because I imagine you run into some skeptics quite frequently, which is why we like to get people on to give the accurate
The real-
truth, the real deal.
Yeah.
What is are there statistics on the effectiveness of the program and how it helps in reduction of AIDS or just healthier people?
Well, I don't know specifics of, percentages. What I can tell you is that we run under the harm reduction principles, which are people are more likely, because people that inject drugs typically have experience with providers that there's a lot of stigma around people who inject drugs. And so there's a lot of mistrust with people who inject drugs or use substances, period. And when they come to our program, the harm reduction model is a non-judgment model where we accept people where they are. And so when people feel accepted and feel as if they can trust the people while we're building relationships, I've gotten a lot of people into medically assisted treatment, Suboxone, and also the methadone clinic. We provide, like I said, HIV and hepatitis C testing. We provide vaccinations for hepatitis A and B. We develop relationships with people, and they're more likely to go into treatment because they trust, the people that accept them, which is a syringe service program. And it's, I can tell you stories of people who have come in who have been, they started off using pain medication, and because the state stopped giving people the oxycodones, and so they really reduced that. People had to turn to heroin to take that pain away. And so it's just, just coming in to be able to tell the story to someone who is listening. And then when they trust you, then you're able, when they're ready to get into treatment. And I've seen it happen in my program where people said, no way, I'm not getting into treatment. And then all of a sudden they said, I'm just sick of it. I really need to stop this. Can you help me? And so it's sort of a gateway to help people to get into treatment. It's also to help people get into medical care. Like I said, we provide a lot of love to people that just don't get it and they feel stigmatized.
I think those are some interesting points for people to realize, because I think it is kind of, people think of it as just needle exchange.
Yeah.
But I think the point that you made, that you meet people where they're at, which is extremely important with addiction, and you create a bond or a relationship and trust. All of those things, because those are the things that are going to help people get better.
Yeah,
So this,
exactly.
so the syringe service program is not, from what I'm hearing, it's not just an exchange of needles. It's a gateway, to quote you, to building trust and perhaps getting people off of heroin.
Exactly. I mean, you made an excellent, almost putting it in context, it is a program, but it's part of a much bigger program that does, that sort of, like you said, it's the entrance, it's the way to get in, and it's the way to build that trust. That's so important.
Yeah.
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 So
I had one young man that came in, and I used to run a program that was in coordination with the syringe service program called CLEAR, which was a counseling program, a cognitive behavioral counseling program. And after I developed this relationship with him, he was deep in heroin, and he said to me, "You were the first person that didn't look at me differently when I walked in." And I was able to move him in, or get him into treatment, because he felt like I was there for him, and he didn't feel like that was true of any provider he had ever come in contact with. So that was a powerful message for me. I felt that was such a great story that I love to tell about how syringe services work.
And how do you see yourself expanding around? Well, before I get too far down the road, are you accepting like new cases all the time? Like, should you give us your phone number right now so that if people were listening, that they would hear your phone number? Or I don't know if we have it up, yeah, if you could give us your phone number, maybe we can get it on the
Sure.
titles too.
Yeah. So my the cell phone number that I use is 802-246-7147, and people can call and just say, I need services, and I'll enroll them. Like I said, it's a free and anonymous program. Anonymous is really important because people don't have to give their names. They just come in. We use a unique identifier, and with a card that we give them, and just say, I'd like to enroll, and that's it.
Oh, okay. And so, but what if someone called who happened to be located in Westminster West or someplace where you don't currently serve? Would you be able to somehow accommodate them?
Absolutely. Like I said, we serve anyone in Vermont who is interested. If they can't come to the office, we typically, before COVID, we weren't able to use mobile services because we're a fixed site, which means that we just stay in one place. And if people can get to our office, like I did have people coming from Bellows Falls, but it's really difficult in
Yeah, 'cause you'd have
Bellows
to take
Falls for people to access anything.
Yeah.
So that's why we're really wanting to expand services up to Bellows Falls, where we could, because I thought it would be difficult to find a fixed site at this time during COVID, that I did get the approval from the state of Vermont to offer mobile services. We do have to go through an application process, but my goal is to get the mobile services up and running in the Bellows Falls area.
Yeah. And I would think that actually mobile services could be more anonymous and more effective as far, because you tackle the transportation end of the problem, and as opposed to having the person who needs the services have to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And it reduces one barrier,
Yeah, it does.
a big barrier.
I would think that might be the better model even. I don't know how you feel about that.
Another thing that we started doing before COVID hit was the state of Vermont actually came to us and asked us if we would be interested in providing a low barrier Suboxone program embedded into our program.
Ooh.
So what that means is people that come in because they trust me working with them, the relationship that we've gained, once they're ready to go into a Suboxone program, it's right there. And I just say, okay, let's get you right in, right here and right now, which is really important for people who are ready to get into treatment, to get them in the moment. So unfortunately, when COVID hit, that kind of stopped, but it's a really important program to be embedded, Suboxone program embedded into a syringe service program.
That is incredible, because I actually worked back in another life. I worked at a mental health facility, and when Suboxone first started, the doctor had to be certified, and then they could only have a caseload of like, I can't remember, it was even like 10 people. It was really low.
Right.
And then they had to get seen all the time, and it was so many barriers that were put into people's plate. You know, it's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of progress.
We've really come a long way from the beginnings of, when HIV and, the beginnings of, they used to call them needle exchanges. And because in southern Vermont especially, in Brattleboro particularly, people who could not even buy a syringe. So we really took that and went forward and just applied to the state of Vermont for a syringe service program.
Mm-hmm.
It was so needed.
Okay.
Should we wrap up? How long is your?
Oh, yeah. We do need to wrap up. We have a little bit of time left. But one more time, let's have, would you just say your name, the program, and your phone number?
Okay, great. Again, my name is Sue Conley. I work for the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont. And my phone number is 802-246-7147.
All right. Well, thanks, Sue. That was wonderful and great. I hope you'll come on again and talk about more about your program, and if things change and you can come up to Bellows Falls, give us an update, okay?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. So we have a clip.
We have a music clip. We have another from last week. We had Deb and the Hayburners. We're going to try that again with a new song called Big Old Cat. And I think we can roll. Bye, Bellows Falls. I think we're closing with this.
It's a beautiful night in a beautiful town. I always have to talk when somebody's guitar is out of tune, so I pray our guitars don't go out of tune.
This big old cat lived down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. He never needs a leave, I don't believe, and maybe one day he would. Spin around his big old town and in this neighborhood. You don't mess with the cat lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You don't mess with the cat lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood.
Everyone's a kitty when they're little bitty, but this one grew up fast. Real young that you gotta have fun and make each day your last. Yeah, Billy, a tussle, used his muscle every which way he could. The cat lived down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood.
You don't mess with the cat lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You don't call him a pussy, don't call him a wussy, don't you look him in the eye. You stare you down with one eye closed and the other don't have to try. Nobody any other cat in town has ever done it good. You don't mess with the cat lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You don't mess with the cat lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. This cat is
always brave, he's all spit and blood. You don't mess with the cattle live down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You
Don't mess with the cattle lives down in the back in your shed by the pile of wood. You might see him walking, you might see him stalking, and one day he'll be gone. Night turns to night and everything is night and then it disappears at dawn. Spinning around and they go down and in this neighborhood. You don't mess with the cattle live down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. Say what? You don't mess with the cattle lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You don't mess with the cattle lives down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. Come on. You don't mess with the cattle live down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. You don't mess with the cattle live down in the back in the shed by the pile of wood. Thank you. That's another one by Marky. We're trying to finish that. That'll be on album 2.